Hi, Scott. I want to make sure that everyone can hear me just fine. Please let me know.
You seem to be coming through loud and clear on my end.
Big buddy, good to see you.
Good to see
Um,
you.
Brad and I are going to be competing tomorrow in a Trade Ideas golf tournament, so it's we're really excited to bring you this presentation today. Brad, you and I were talking before we got going, and I believe we said that this could be the most important Q&A webinar we've ever done.
I think it is the most important. Well, I mean, if anything, it's the most exciting. It's something that we've been waiting for a while, and finally get to offer it out to everybody.
All right, let's do this. So before we start, TradeIdeas is not a registered investment advisor. All the information that we are going to provide in this webinar is for educational and informational purposes only. Nothing should be construed as a solicitation to buy or sell any securities, and should you need professional investment advice, please go to a registered investment advisor. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's begin. Since a lot of you don't know who we are, your beautiful CEO, when he was a much younger lad, right here, before there was the internet and Twitter and everything else, this is 1996 and 1998, and I've been a professional investor my entire life. The fortunate thing is that myself and Brad and many of the other partners in TradeIdeas, we have been managed to parlay our investment expertise and technology expertise into what we're going to present to you today, TradeIdeas, but even more exciting, the next evolution and innovation of TradeIdeas. But I've been doing this for a long time, and I would say since I've been doing it successfully since 1996, and Brad since 98, I mean, you can see this is a long, long time. We're like the 1%ers. Very few people have been able to stay in the game this long. So TradeIdeas as a company is a technology software as a subscription service company, and I kind of want everyone to take a look at this slide because it's very important, because this has a lot to do with this, the right-hand side, and I want to tell you just a brief story. We started TradeIdeas in 2003 after what we call the $50 million education that you can't get at Harvard. Brad and I were founders, and again, a lot of the people in TradeIdeas were also in this other company called Future Trade Technologies, which was a Menlo Ventures-backed company which ended up raising over $50 million to compete in the institutional analytics and execution space. We were basically creating a product for hedge funds to trade actively. But when that ran into the dot-com bubble and 9/11 in 2001, myself and Brad and the other partners basically left the company. We knew it wasn't going to succeed, and in 2003 we started right here, formed TradeIdeas. Scott Olson, who introduced me, was also a member of the previous organization, so we know talent when we see it. We started TradeIdeas as just, two consumer-based product where we sold our subscription, and here we go. We were growing and growing and did really well, but in 2005, something interesting happened. We got a license with Scottrade, and then in 2006 with E-Trade, and we kind of stopped focusing on the subscription business and decided to do more of the enterprise. Service the big brokers, wanted to get after TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, and everybody else to provide them the technology that we thought was the game changer. And we tried to do this for 10 years, basically. Brad, isn't that crazy? And here you can see that here our subscription business is still existing and our institutional business is growing, but you don't need to see that because, again, this is about TradeIdeas as you see it. And this is our R&D. We're talking to people all over the world. We're augmenting our product. We're creating the building blocks for what eventually became Holly, our artificial intelligence engine, which is a virtual analyst that uses card counting methodologies to anticipate successful trades in the market. When we launched Holly in 2000, I mean, we were already growing quite rapidly since we did our business back trade ideas what we do today is only gasoline. So one of the things that people in the stock market is that participate in innovation of the human race. There's really virtually no other place that you can do that other than the stock market, because in the stock market you can buy stocks that are trying to cure cancer, trying to cure OCD or Alzheimer's, or potentially make new technology for solar roofs or electric cars. All of this innovation, it takes place in the stock market. And again, what people don't quite get is that today, as opposed to 10 years ago, information gets processed so much faster, and the moves that happen in stocks are happening a lot quicker than most people think. Now, quicker does not mean high-frequency trading and day trading, and we'll talk about that a little bit, Brad. You and I, we've talked about that forever. In fact, we don't believe day trading is a real thing. But the truth of the matter is, you can find stocks that are attractive and be able to find this kind of return with relatively low monetary risk and be able to gain quite a bit. As I'm showing here as an example of my portfolio that I share often with people who follow me on Twitter and in our trading room. So what we like to differentiate ourselves with is that the management of our company, in order to stay relevant, we actually do what we sell. We invest actively and win, because otherwise you can't do it. I mean, you know, Brad, I can go on and on about that topic, but just so that you understand who you're dealing with, we're a technology company and a software as a service company where the management actually invests themselves so that we know what's happening.
I imagine it would be pretty tough to build a tool if that wasn't the case. I mean, people do, but build a successful tool.
Who made this slide? I think it was me, Brad. Look at that. Expand your awareness of the possible. So here, remember, I'm going to go back real quick. And by the way, we're only going to stay on the presentation very briefly because we have a lot to show you today. So here, Palm Matrix, I had shown someone that I bought it at 1.23, 2,000 shares on January 17th at 66 cents. And look at my profits. I mean, this is for me, trade all real. Everybody saw it. In this example, on the 26th, 10 days later, Palm Matrix, and here's the stock, because again, I use it as a good example, it was at 250. And this is where our artificial intelligence, Holly, suggested it as an entry at 192. And this is where it was. And, you know, I use this picture to just showcase what is possible. You will never hear about these stocks on CNBC or anything like that, because the media is completely geared towards having you give your money to somebody else to manage. There's the stupidity clause where they want to really tell you that you can't pick stocks. Adapt your portfolio. Look at our structured products. I mean, if you look at robo-investing and things like that, do a little research. Open your eyes, and what you'll see is nobody's even talking about stocks. They've given up. They have no idea what to look for, how to look for it. They just want you to throw your money into an ETF and ride in the same bus as everyone else. But the reason that you are here is because you feel that you know better. And you do. In order to have a chance to gain wealth, you must evolve past that meme that you can't do it yourself. So this is the idea. The idea is that we will provide you with the technology and the signals and the best ability to follow them. And these pictures are just to show you what is possible. Don't get intimidated if you've never seen this before. One of the things that we focus on in TradeIdeas is that our resources for support are unparalleled. I mean, we, again, can go in ad nauseum. We have 4 webinars during the week at which you're here on one of them. We have a podcast. We do everything that we can to support our technology, including a completely free trading room manned by Barry Anderson, which is open from just before the open to just before the close, where people show best practices, share ideas, and work together to capture alpha out of the stock market. So that's kind of the high level. I already ran through all of the presentation. Good. Now we can get into the meeting.
Don't forget the 1-hour training that all new subscribers get, a one-on-one where we connect to their desktop, show them how to use the software, answer any questions.
Of course. Well, let's do that at the end, Brett. We'll for sure discuss all of that, but I want to kind of talk a little bit about what we do. And before I jump into our artificial intelligence, which is our premium product, let's talk about how people, basic people, who just do the basic kind of service, interact with the technology. Let's say you get up in the morning and you want to see what's going on, what's gapping up, what's gapping down. In other words, where is the action? What's going on? We have the pre-market channel. And notice, instead of you having to configure everything, there's a channel bar. Okay, in the channel bar, just like your Netflix, it knows what you might be interested in, whether it's stocks that are reporting earnings or potentially stocks with unusual options activity, or because of what's happening in the recent election cycle, here you have the infrastructure plays and how to take advantage of them. Again, all that is embedded within our technology. But we are the pinnacle of idea generation, and you're not going to find anything like this from other vendors. One of the big reasons, Brad, and you and I, we love to talk about this because we use it as an example. What separates TradeIdeas from everybody else is that while everybody else, including like Telecharts 2000 or eSignal with whom we work, we all get the same data from the exchanges. Don't be mistaken. There's no magic. Everybody gets the same data. But the difference is, unlike other vendors, we store that data and then we do what's called derived data. In other words, by storing all the raw data, we then create our own data fields so that you can sort something by what's up the most over the last 15 minutes. So you can always be pointed in the direction of the desired movement. And this is just one example. I mean, as you work with us, you'll see that we do this everywhere. And what we do is we don't. I kind of like to bring Bruce Lee into it, Brad. Remember Bruce Lee said, "Be like water." We are not technical firm. We are not a fundamental firm. We're a data firm, and we use everything. In fact, the more data points you can have, the better your analysis is. Okay, so we look at revenue growth the same way we look at the size of the float as well as the relative volume. In other words, how much is it trading right now compared to how it normally trades. Let you sort on everything and see it as it's all happening in real time. And I'm just going to going through the channel bar, Brad, to give everybody a little bit of a feel for it. Here, you've got everything that's up. Number one, you can look anything up. And here's a stock, BCLI. By the way, I, Brad, am in this stock because this looked really good today. Look at the percentage. 14% in one day, 57 cents, 8.8 relative volume. In other words, it's trading 8 times what it normally would trade at the close. You can see a lot of important details, how much cash it has. Is it being talked about on social media? Brad, one of the things that I love to kind of point out is that I always joke about how I feel like fintech is crazy. You got the big brokers talking about their social charts and trying to figure out sentiment. They're nuts. Because sentiment is something you don't have to figure out on social media. Let me explain why. Well, if BCLI is up 14% and the volume is 2,500 times normal activity, Brad, what do you think the sentiment of the discussion is? Is it positive?
I think it's pretty positive, and if the sentiment was negative, I wouldn't care.
Well, A, correct, but B, I mean, again, it's like because people who run brokerages and other firms actually never invest for themselves or have never invested, they have no idea what they're just kind of like throwing monkey poop at subscribers, at us, at people who need to invest in, like, here's a tool, here's another tool. Look, we found positive sentiment. What does that mean? None of them know. It's silly. But the point is, we already look at it, we integrate it, and we let you see it in a way that's easy for you. So let's talk about what you're seeing. Look, here's a window that talks about what's winning right now, what's winning today. What about this week? How about for the year? Notice, you can see it all. And of course, as important information regarding these types of moves happen, you can also see it stream in real time. Like OCN just made a post-market high, and you can see, look at this happening. So we also show you post-market, pre-market data. The post-market is that beautiful purple sunset, whereas the pre-market is the dawn of the pink. Brad, do you like that, how I just threw that in there?
Yeah, and now I may be able to memorize that now. Thank you.
Dawn of the pink. One of the other things that we do, unlike what everybody else does, is we anticipate interesting behavior. So here's a company, Rewalk Robotics, and the reason I'm kind of pointing this out is that, look at this. You have a company that's been beaten up, right? It's got cash of $23 million and a market cap of $37 million. So it's basically trading for cash, relatively speaking. But this company is in the whole business of like assisting people who can't walk robotically by walking. Now, mind you, I have no idea if they will or won't succeed. But what I notice is, number one, they have revenues. They're trading at, a relative small 6 times, 7 times revenues, and they have a ton of cash. But look at the stock. This is how we look at opportunities. Okay, so this seems to us potentially as something that's underpriced. And now what you can do is with TradeIdeas, you're able to right-click and set yourself alerts saying where you can kind of use mnemonics to say this is walking upward now. And again, I'm just kind of trying to be funny, but notice now I have an alert for it. I've said this myself. I didn't need any indicators. I just use visuals. People forget your eyes. The thing that's evolved over billions of years to protect you from saber-toothed tigers is the best thing that you need to analyze any picture. You don't need indicators. I mean, you can use them if they make you comfortable, but I'm just saying, as someone who's done it since 1996, most of the superfluous things that you see on charts are irrelevant. It's your eyes and what they tell you, and the synergy of those two things that's going to make you ultimately successful or not. So back to the channel bar. Remember, we were talking about what's happening on social media and how we laugh at what people talk about trying to figure out sentiment. Here you have, again, a stock that's being talked about on social media, and obviously the sentiment is bullish. I mean, how can it not be bullish when it's up 46%? Same thing here. I mean, it's very easy to understand what the sentiment is because price trumps sentiment. It's like rocks, paper, scissors, right, Brad? Price trumps sentiment. Sentiment is a thingy. Price is something that you have to react to. So our channel bar makes it very easy for you, the investor, to be able to get focused on exactly what you need to find, however you want to find it. And again, hopefully profit from it. So I'm giving everyone the big overview, just what's going on, how you can interact with this technology. And the thing is, we now have moved forward, and we don't only allow you to just see it, but the reason that you're here in this webinar and why it's so important, we also now are going to be able to let you trade it. So before I jump into that, and really Brad should be like the biggest part of our presentation. Let me kind of talk to you about the pinnacle, Holy Grail. So remember we talked about this slide? In 2016, Holly came to life. And this has been this is how you, the people, have reacted to her. Well, this is why. So let's take a look real quick. First of all, just so you can see, this is kind of like your AI cockpit. You can see that the AI gained $1.58 today versus the S&P, which was what we compared to, which lost 20 cents. Our AI starts flat. In other words, there's nothing in it because every day we have to make new decisions for you because we assume that you were not in anything the day before, so that we can always, be clean. We don't want to be riding a good trade from, January that goes all year, but the rest of them were bad. Many people can still do that and claim that, oh, look, I was up 10%. My first one made it. The rest didn't. We're not like that. We can't be like that, and we wouldn't be growing if we were like that. So today, our artificial intelligence had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 suggested calls. Okay? So they started at 6:41, approximately 10 minutes after the open, and the new suggestion proceeded for 3 hours. Now all of this, and this is the kind of cool part, this is all done by our artificial intelligence, which is really the pinnacle of fintech, although nobody but us knows about it, and you now. One of the exciting things is that our approach to active investing and active alpha capture is really the simplest and the most powerful at the same time. Instead of talking about, fractal, transform, Fourier, algorithmic, abundant, whatever, I'm just throwing random crap at you. What we do is the same approach that the MIT card counting team did to beat Las Vegas. What we have that you don't have at home and that hedge funds don't have at home because they haven't been creating our database is that, like Brad and I have been saying, since 2003, we've been collecting data, creating the derived data, and using that derived data to see where the pockets of probability exist. So we have 45 strategies in the AI, and some of them are long and some of them are short, and they every day compete statistically with one another to see what's going to happen tomorrow. In other words, right now, while I'm yapping here away, talking to you about how brilliant we are and how amazing TradeIdeas is, our software is in the data center learning about what happened today. It's re-crunching all of the trades that happened yesterday, but adding today to it to see how is today's behavior impact the decisions that it might make tomorrow. In other words, it's automatically learning. And this is what happens. I mean, one of the things that I showcase is that it's very difficult for humans to figure out how to invest without immense trial and error. Like I said, I'm one of the lucky ones. Brad's one of the lucky ones, partly because I taught him. Sorry, Brad, I had to say it. Don't laugh, it's true.
You want me to comment or what? I think, thank you.
But it's true. But the point here is that to go through the kind of trial and error process to learn and get a feel for trading requires the 10,000 hours Malcolm Gladwell type thing where you make an immense amount of mistakes, spend at least 10 years doing it, and then you might be able to make it. Knowing that, we said, hey, well, how do we do it differently? So we basically created the 10,000 hours every single day. That's what our software is doing right now. It's learning. It's looking at all of our data, learning what it did on these trades, and coming up with the strategies for tomorrow. So look at EMES that it found. It realized that statistically speaking, bullish pullback, which is the name of this strategy because you have a stock that looks good, which this stock did. And let me just point this out. So it ran up and then pulled back. So that's why this strategy is called what it's called. It's a bullish pullback. It ran up, took a breath, and then look at what happened after. INSY. Similar concept, slightly different, internals, but strong stock pulling back. I mean, again, they're almost analogous strategies, but the statistical nature of the behavior is such that we knew, or at least the software knew, that this was a good trade. And we have several other ones that do it. We look at everything, small caps, large caps, everything that you can imagine, and the things that we provide to you are the things that are statistically viable. Not the things that are popular, the things that are being talked about on chat rooms, but the things that are statistically viable. It's a completely different way to do it, but it's the only way that works. Okay? The only way that works. So this is the AI. Now, for the most important thing in terms of the presentation. So right-click, and we have added a way for you to trade directly from our interface with interactive brokerage, and the reason we used interactive brokerage is because we've done the research with you guys, and by far interactive brokerage seems to be the most popular brokerage amongst our several thousand customers that subscribe to TradeIdeas. So we connected it, it's all ready to go in beta, and it allows you to see a signal, right-click, and send it to the market in whichever way you want. All of this is like just custom that I made as an example. And the results look a little bit like this. Okay? So this is what we have in what's called Brokerage Plus. Brad, as you're watching me do this, I'm going to close some of these windows just so that I don't overwhelm people with information, which I'm sure I do anyways. But this is our trading interface. Take a look at the difference between what you see here and what you see in a lot of other places. Notice you can watch your P&L graph just like you can watch the AI P&L graph. It's kind of merged together. We're creating a very similar example. You can take any position, you can flatten it, you could cut it in half, you can double down, you can reverse it. You can do more advanced things like limit out and stuff like that again, you don't need to worry about right now. But the idea is that it's kind of similar to the way that you would play blackjack seriously or poker seriously. There's basic rules to play, and the more you execute them successfully, the better you do. Our AI is going to guess better than you. So let's talk about this for a second, Brad. I mean, I know people are like, what? What's he talking about? So everything that you do as an investment is a calculated guess. It's a calculated speculation, a risk. There's nothing wrong at all with admitting the fact that we're all guessing. The question is, how do you guess versus how does the AI guess? The AI is guessing through immense statistical analysis, hardcore data crunching, whereas you are guessing based on visual context. You see something, you think it's good, and then you go after it. But the problem is this. And this is, again, one of the most important reasons why TradeIdeas is really a game-changing technology. So, Brad, here we have an alert window that's called Breaking Out on Volume. Okay? And I can go to BRTA, and what does this look like it's doing?
It looks like it's breaking out on volume.
Brad, I love that you work with me because you just know exactly what to say. It's breaking out on volume. But we, because we're professionals, have learned to ask the right question. The right question is, well, we know it's breaking out on volume, but what might happen after this type of move happens, let's say at the close of the day, or 2 days later, or 45 minutes later? Our technology allows the end user to ask those questions via our backtesting module and simulate answers. So let's see what happens to high volume breakouts on average 30 minutes after. So do you remember how I was talking about the bloody noses, Brad, and everyone else here? Remember I was saying how to get a feel for trading, you've got to do a lot of practice. Well, we just, in about 10 seconds, we just practiced 1,837 possible trades. And what did we learn, Brad?
Probably not a great strategy to implement such that you have it there.
Well, certainly not for 30 minutes. At 30 minutes, you're basically throwing darts and it's somewhat random. Okay, so that keep in mind when you're thinking about day trading. Okay, so we can re-ask the question. What about, notice I'm just moving a lever. Is that what it's called, Brad? What's this thing called?
Slider?
Slider, a lever. Okay, how about an hour?
That's cute.
Okay, and again, notice we're just crunching through immense amounts of data. And you can compare, well, does an hour is actually worse than a half hour. Isn't that interesting? So what about, again, to the close? In other words, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to try to hold it all day long. Brad, did you break it? Did you break the software, Brad, because of my demo? I'm teasing, Brad. One of the things that you should know, again, is that this is an immense amount of server technology that's happening. We're going to our server farm in San Diego and basically pretending to trade every single volume breakout that met the criteria in this window and hypothesizing the proper chess move. In other words, what do I do with this information? And look, I mean, again, we're just going through it, and before we tried it for 30 minutes, we tried it for an hour, and now we're trying it all day long. So let's see, what did we learn? Well, we learned that a lot of times your eyes are going to deceive you in terms of just following the breakout type of scenario. There's no statistical advantage to it. But how would you ever know that if you didn't have this type of technology? How would you ever know that if you couldn't ask the right questions? Well, the beauty is, again, and we present the information in a way that makes sense to you. You know, you can kind of follow calendar days, see exactly what happened, and even more importantly, you can optimize it yourself. So look, here's an example where interval, let's see. Brad, what should I use? Is it 30 minutes or 10 minutes?
I don't know. I usually like starting off with 15 minutes, but, you know.
Okay.
Change it around.
Okay, so here I can break things down in terms of time and see, like, since I've been doing this, well, when is there a good time to get in? And again, this particular one just, I mean, there's nothing great about it. So
you have a lot of, you know, obviously there are a lot of signals in that one. I sent you
absolutely.
I sent you a Skype that has a kind of a pre-optimized strategy, and I thought maybe, and obviously you can do whatever you want, but I thought maybe you'd want to show everybody how you could take that strategy, do a back test and show how good it is, but then drop it into the Brokerage Plus and have it turn it on automatically, because it's really set up for auto trading.
Absolutely. So Brad just sent me a modified version of this, so I'm going to duplicate it just so everyone can see. And then I'm also showing you, so every window, by the way, is super customizable. You can do a lot of stuff with it. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to say save or share to the cloud, and I have...
No, you want to go ahead and load from the cloud. In fact, the strategy that I sent you, it's not really kind of a derivative of breaking out on volume, but it's another one that'll backtest really well.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry, Brad. You're right. Okay. So here, Brad's kind of showcasing the opposite, which is something that we've done technologically to already ask the computer, what is actually a good strategy? In other words, what goes into the AI? So you can see right now, like, that the AI most likely, and not most likely, but actually uses these types of strategies. Look at the results. The result differences when we figure out where the pockets of probabilities lie and then take advantage of it. That's why you can see this hopefully kind of makes you understand this growth. And we'll let it finish here. And notice using our own technology, we found what are the proper settings to find the pockets of probability. That's what people kind of don't know about how the market works, is that there is no system that you can backtest 10 years that actually works. Okay, the market does not work this way. This system is amazing, but Brad just did it, and in order to keep it looking like this, you must continually add new information to it. By the way, if anybody wants this one, we will give this specific one as a link that you can have yourself.
So let me explain something, Dan, because this strategy, it's one that's looking for a real unusual down move, and it would be really hard for someone that's manually trading to get in on some of these trades. And in using Brokerage Plus, you can take this strategy exactly as it is, so that any time a signal is generated in the window, and have Brokerage Plus automatically send a set of instructions to IB based upon how you've got it configured. So go ahead, and you've got the cloud link for that window, right, Dan?
I believe so. So I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to save that cloud link, and now I'm going to move this window, and I'm going to move the other window. I'm going to go to Brokerage Plus, and I'm going to go to the Strategies tab. So what I'm going to do is right-click and say New Load from Cloud.
There you go.
And this is the cloud link that Brad gave me, and I'm going to say Load, Add to Existing, and here you have, buy the unusual down move starts 5 minutes after the close. And every trading strategy has instructions that you can put in, like, for example, is it fixed dollars or fixed shares? And we teach you how to do all of that. It's super simple, and it's really a one-time setup. But the idea is that now, and notice also the proper time to get out, etc. But now, when things happen, you no longer have to, fiddle with it. Brokerage Plus will automatically buy the stock and put it into your open positions, and it will manage it for you. It will manage it for you. In other words, it sets the proper stops. It knows to take profit if it needs to take profit. These are all things that just have never been available anywhere else. And this is why Brad and I are so excited about the market and about everything else that we're doing at TradeIdeas, because we're leaping, evolutionarily leaping forward. You will ask yourselves after this, what were they talking about here? But look at what we are able to do with data. Nobody, no other vendor in FinTech has this capability. That's the one thing that you have to know. They just do not. And now you are able to instantly kind of be the CEO of your own financial empire. One of the problems is that when people invest, they often kind of don't know who they are. They pretend to be a bean counter or a research analyst, and they start looking at Edgar statements or SEC statements or looking over charts, thinking that they could find some edge. But that's not where the edge lies, because the market's moved way beyond that. The edge exists in crunching data in a way that nobody's able to crunch, and then having the computer be your Tesla, your assisted driver. That's what we bring to the table. That's what we're doing with this. And one of the more exciting things is as follows. So let me bring a little bit of the presentation back, just so that everyone is able to see, because it's kind of feel like it's important. So TradeIdeas works in this way. We have two standard kind of subscriptions, and Scott will talk about it a little bit more on this page, just to kind of give you some perspective. Our regular service, the basic service, is the $99 a month or $888 a year, and it gives you access to everything except for the higher end features. It's for people who maybe don't trade as actively, or who feel like they know exactly what they're doing and they don't need, if it's not broken, don't fix it. But obviously, most of the people use our premium version, which gives you access to the AI. And now, this premium version, while the Brokerage Plus is in beta, is going to give you access to Brokerage Plus for free. Let me say that again, for free. This is, once it goes live, Brokerage Plus will cost $1,088, one-time fee. So in other words, let me just go back. So this component, so that you can trade live, so that it can be your trading assistant. It will eventually cost $1,088 one time. But for all the beta users who are on the premium product now, it will be free, and it's grandfathered free. In other words, you're not going to be then retro charged when it goes live. So because we want to build incentive for the early adopters. If you've ever been on an edge about anything, we want to give you an opportunity to take advantage of this while it is free. So if you're looking to find the kind of opportunities that that you haven't seen before, because we covered the names that nobody else covers. I don't think too many people were talking about EMES. This is the technology innovation for you. If you want to try it yourself successful, if you want a chance at building wealth and seeing the evolution of financial data and get off of the bus of ETFs and robo-advisors and just handing your money over to strangers who couldn't care less about you but only care about fees, this is for you. If you want to have a chance to get these kinds of plays versus what I had shown you before, this is for you. Brett, should we answer some questions? I actually haven't even had the question and answer section open. Are we caught up?
Yeah, well, there's one question. Al's asking a question about all of the, wondering if you can't trade all of the AI signals, how do you know which ones to trade? I think that kind of sums up what he's asking here.
Okay, that's a great question. So being able to or not being able to trade all of the AI signals is really a function of buying power and money. If you're trading 100 shares or 500 shares, all of it has to do with how much money and buying power you have. There is no way for us to tell you which ones to trade, but the idea is that our AI throughout the day tends to be positive, and we have a very long track record of showing you what we've done all last year. We decimated the S&P, and we do it day in and day out. So the idea is that you can follow the trades. You're not going to win on all of them, but we give you a way to actually trade around it using this column, the profit change last 5. In other words, after the trades are quote-unquote managed one way or the other, you don't forget about the position. Our software continues to give you feedback so that if something looks like, hey, look, for example, this one, it went up briefly but then pulled back, but then as it starts to go back up again, potentially, you will be aware of it by watching this column. So we use our own custom data to help you see exactly what's going on. Okay, so Brad, Rob asked, and we'll get the other stuff too. Sorry guys, tons of questions coming in. So what's the difference between 88 and 188? Great question. So let me move this away. So with the 88 basic price level software, you get access to every channel except for the AI, so you won't get access to that, and the higher functionality, higher level functionality tools. For example, let's say you wanted to set an alert here at 142 because it really looks nice. That right there is a higher level premium function. So it's the back testing, the alerting, and then of course from the chart, as it hits it, you can also trade from our chart as well. So you can trade from every single window in TradeIdeas, whether it's trading from the chart, the top list windows, or the streaming windows. All of them are trade enabled. Okay, Peter, Brad, I know you answered the question, but in terms of the stops, Peter, there's no magical stop formula. Stops are a tricky thing, and if there was one thing that worked all the time, everyone would be doing it. But because of volatility and the natural structural change of the market, it constantly adjusts. And one of the things that we do to help you is we have this thing called a smart stop. For every single stock that we calculate as it's happening, based on the current activity of the stock, which is why, for example, when you have BASI, which is only a $1.33 stock, but when it's trading 22 times normal, our software says you should give it 25 cents. Whereas if you have a stock like Apple that's at $137, but it's trading 3/4 of normal, the smart stop is 51 cents. Notice again that it's custom for every single stock. Here's Netflix. It's got a stop of 75 cents. Google, 75. Intel, 30. So that way, as soon as you get in, you will have an idea of what you need to do. And if you're working on the premium side of the equation, the software does it all for you. So someone was asking how do you get access to the beta? Brad, did you already put the download link? Or?
Yeah, I did. I put a couple bit.ly links in the chat. So, well, first of all, we're going to go ahead and update our site. It'll be either later today or tomorrow morning so that you could download it then. But if you are very eager and want it now, I did put a couple bit.ly links in the chat for GoToWebinar. So you should see that. One of those contains the documentation. Right now it's written, a video is coming shortly, and the other one is a download link that'll allow you to download to the latest version. And you're going to need version 4.0120 in order to get this to work with IB.
Okay, Brad, there's a ton of great questions from Ben down to David. Let's kind of go through them real quick. Okay, so can you clarify if the AI suggests possible entry and exit points based on the suggested trade ideas? So yes. Let me just go over here and talk about what we do. So look at every single window here, and you'll see some fields. So at 641, the AI suggested that you get into CAJ, Canon. And the entry price, which would have been given to you in this window, because it's when they're open, they're here, and when they're closed, they're here, was at 29.20. Now, the AI has these modes. One's called risk on, and one's called risk off. Let me quickly explain what that means, because I can assure you it's not as complicated as it sounds. So, when the market is volatile and not picking a direction, the AI says to itself, hey, let's preserve capital. So if I'm in capital preservation mode, you would try to basically take kind of an 8-cent profit on this because we have a reason for it. It's called profit save. In other words, the software thinks that even though it got in, it's not doing anything else. That's just based on the AI. And as it turns out, if you held it all day, the difference would have only been 3 cents. 8 cents on the hour and 11 cents on the whole day. Risk on basically means holding it through the duration of the day. And the question is, people say, well, how do you know which one to do? It's right here. There's always a mechanism to show you. It's always telling you which behavior to take. So in other words, if you had, let's say, gotten into AERI, and I'm using this as an interesting example because this one right here is something that we got 25 cents worth of profit in a 41-minute time frame, which is fine, but then the stock pulled back. Obviously, you would not need to enter it again because it was negative. But when you have something that is in this situation, like let me put in INSY, that's a great example. So INSY, the software got in at 1281, which is like right here, and then it had a big pullback, so you lost 25 cents in risk off mode. Okay, but because the software is telling you that you're in risk on, you either again only cover half of your position, or you simply watch it more carefully and let it run. And this is where the big advantage is that the software is constantly giving you feedback of what to do. If you're out of positions because of risk off and all of a sudden risk on starts to go, you simply need to look at this column and see, well, what's going in the direction of the trade, and then take action. And again, while some of this may sound a little confusing, we do all of the training to explain it to you. It's kind of like what we're doing here, even though this is a very big general one, but throughout the whole day, Barry Anderson in our trading room is showcasing how all this works, confirming and reconfirming various aspects of the system. Then, of course, we've got the office hours with Jamie and with Steve. I mean, there's a constant process of helping you understand how this works. It is not rocket science. It's really simple. But the beauty is that now, because we've got the one-click execution, you don't have to, mess with it. If you see something, you can just go right here, boom, boom, and get back into it. That simple. Okay. We do not have any reciprocal trading. We don't get paid for interactive brokerage. In fact, we have no contractual relationship with them other than being an API access partners. We do not get paid for any order flow whatsoever. We are just a subscription as a service AI. That is it. Okay, Brad, have we answered how? I don't want to accidentally redo the questions. Have we answered?
You got a couple that it said, "Is this for day trading only?" So you may want to.
I love that. First of all, okay, great question. Is this for day trading only? No, there's no such thing as day trading. Okay, day trading is a meme that the financial media has put out there. And again, I'm kind of using terminology that you've been hearing about, quote unquote, fake news. Well, one of the fake news is that day trading. Day trading is a fake news type of thing because it's not really anything. Trading in and out of something the same day isn't something that you do just to do it the same day. It's done because of risk. Like, number one, you either want to take profits, you don't feel comfortable staying in overnight, or you're in a losing position and you simply get out. Let me just give you an example. Here I am, the CEO. I am in all three of these positions because my open P&L is profitable. So I don't really have a reason to get out. In fact, look at this nice BCLI move in the after hours. I'm going to be up a little bit tomorrow. And this goes back to the day trading thing. Day trading is a negative term that was invented by the financial media primarily to make you not want to do it. All day traders lose money. 99% of traders lose money. It's just a bunch of crap. I mean, first of all, again, we don't need to get into all the statistics of it, but the bottom line, it's just designed for you to give your money to somebody else. That's it. Well, yeah, nobody wants anyone else to get rich other than them. And what we're talking about here is wealth hacking. We've used that term often. If you want to find, look at this company, Brainstorm Cell Therapeutics. I mean, let's just look at this real quick. I just want to use it as an example. This company is using stem cells to try to cure neurological degenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and stuff like that. I'm not saying they're going to do it. I mean, I'm not a believer in anything. In fact, I'm the opposite. But what I am saying is that a company that is traded on the stock market most likely will be the one that finds something like this, and then it is up to us to ride the wave. Just like investors were fortunate enough to get into Yahoo in the mid-90s and become millionaires, or Dell Computers in the early 90s and become millionaires, or Microsoft. I mean, that's how it's done. You can find things and those things can go. We are constantly mining for that opportunity. Okay, Spiro asked me, why am I only in 500 shares? Well, because I don't know all the answers, and I don't need to put all of my eggs in one basket, and I'm always looking for the next opportunity. If it continues to go, I will add size. That's actually, again, one of the things that most investors don't realize. You know, if you play proper blackjack, and I love to use this example because it's one of the more proper examples. You may not know this, but statistically speaking, you should not ever take money off the table. That's why most people lose at blackjack. They come into a casino, got $500, want to play the $10 tables, even the $15 tables, and you will categorically lose money. But if you have $5,000, you can be in enough hands to where all of a sudden you'll get 6 or 8 even that go your way, and that's where you really make the money. And it's the same way here. I'm in BCLI small now. If it really starts to run, I will add to it. It's that simple. Ben, yes, Holly monitors everything and she closes everything. And again, that's why you really want to first just take a look at it before you jump into the trades and see how it works. But it's kind of an amazing thing. We created what we would want to be. In other words, we took all this knowledge that myself and our partners had from being some of the best in the business and still being around, and we internalized it into a software. Our AI is basically a professional trader that is better than all of us because she can do things that we can't because she has that capacity to watch everything at once. Brad, where are we on the questions?
They just keep coming, huh?
Whoa! Okay, tons of great questions. Let me see where to start. Okay, we talk about recommended capital size. So in the United States, you have the pattern day trading rule where you need a minimum of $25,000 to day trade. But you don't want to open an account with $25,000 because if you lose $100, then you can't day trade. So I think Brad mentioned $30,000 is about the minimum for active investing, just FYI. But there's other firms, like in Canada, there is no pattern day trading rule. So Eric, you have to adjust the size according to your own risk perspective, but then if you follow the AI in IB, it will exit all of the things based on the proper, again, statistical exit criteria.
So hey Dan, do you happen to have, I guess you do, you have IB up, right?
Yeah, of course.
Do me a favor, pop it onto your screen and let's just open up the global configuration. There's just like one small configuration setting that you have to make sure is engaged or set up properly for this to work. So go to File, go to Global Configuration. Did it open on another monitor?
I don't know. I'm looking for it.
Maybe it's behind that one.
Maybe it's behind, you know. Oh, here it is.
In the documentation, there you go. Then go to API, and then Settings. So right here on this, you just want to make sure there are a couple settings checked. So the very top one that says Enable ActiveX, you want to have that selected. You want to make sure that Readonly API, which is the third one down, is unselected. So we have that in the documentation. And then you just want to make note of that port that it is. And Dan's using 7496. That's the default for a live account. And that's what will come up by default when you do the connection to Brokerage Plus. So once that's set up, let's go ahead and connect your Brokerage Plus, Dan.
Well, I'm already connected.
I know, but you can disconnect it and then reconnect it.
Okay,
I mean,
so
it's
here
really
I am.
super simple.
So here I am disconnected to Brokerage Plus. So I open this up and I go, you can see it says disconnected and you see the red barrier. Interactive Brokerage Connect, and then just make sure that I have the right port, which I do, and here I am. Does that make sense? Brad, can we paper trade with the AI? I believe so.
Yeah, so if you have, well, I think all the ID accounts have the demo accounts, so
That's
you
right.
can definitely do that.
Yeah, and that's a great way to start and practice. This is all live because obviously we would not put a product out that wasn't ready. This is live and it's ready to rock and roll, and I trade live money, but you can completely paper trade with it for sure.
And they have a real fantastic kind of demo interface, if you will, where it really ensures that there's shares being traded in a stock. It's not just going to arbitrarily fill you and you can sit there and make money and think that you know what you're doing in the market. It's going to give you a little bit more of a realistic scenario of getting filled.
So David, we do not work with Thinkorswim, just IB, so it's IB right now. And Bryce, we have some documentation on how you can use TradeIdeas for the Mac. Brad's much better at it than I am, and we actually have an individual who's documented all of it up. It's done with Parallels, Brad?
Yeah, you can use Parallels or you can use VMware. So both those virtual machines or VirtualBox, they work pretty good. You still need to have Windows. And then there's a new little tool out there called CodeWeaver's Crossover, and you don't need Windows at all. So it's a pretty native program, and it works pretty well as well. But we will be adding this to the web version.
Answer Joe Clark's question because he said, how do I use the AI for swing trading? This is a great question because the truth of the matter is all of the AI signals were always created in mind for the longer term. We do not try to put our customers in something where they would have to really get out the same day, even though the software does. And remember, this is because we don't want to accidentally be the gifts of, like, let's say you're in some stock, they got bought out, and all of a sudden you're up 25 points. But that's not replicatable. So we miss that. We don't get involved in that because that's not fair to say that we profited from that and you can do that again. But look at these stocks, okay? Look at EMES. I mean, this is a long-term bullish breakout, Even, INSY, this thing looks like it wants to go. In fact, I'm going to put another alert right here to add more when it gets to this level. Every single thing has been pre-selected for potential very, very solid swing ideas. And by swing, we mean long-term. But since we have to do the impossible, which is show you how you can do it during the day, we still do that. Brad, Philip Haskins asked, is there really good instructions that come with the software? I have to say, probably the best you've ever seen. Let me point a couple of things out. So you can go to TradeIdeas Getting Started videos. Okay, Getting Started videos using TradeIdeas Pro. And there's a whole channel here. Take a look. We have a whole channel that's primarily designed for teaching you how to use all that stuff, what I just showed you with the odds maker, anything and everything that you can imagine, we have in video format. So David was asking, how do we improve Holly over time? Well, the best part there, David, is that we've already implemented that. So the way that we improve it over time is never getting tired, or I'm sorry, not getting tired, but never getting complacent and saying this is the strategy that works. Remember that while we are talking, Holly is reanalyzing data and recreating herself. We learn every single day. We only have one out of sample day, and that's the trading day tomorrow. And then we, again, study and start from scratch. So that's how we keep it completely at the next level, and nobody else is able to do that.
So Spiro's asking about a free trial, and we did just complete an open house this month. Every quarter, every 3 months, we go ahead and we allow you to sign up at a real minimal charge. I think it was $8.88 this last time, and you get to use it for 5 days.
Right. We have quarterly free trials, but ladies and gentlemen, let me just kind of go back to this slide. If you think this is not for you, it's not for you. And if you think about how much artificial intelligence for the year, so at $1,888, if you divide that by 365 days a year, you're talking about approximately $5.58. That's how much we are charging you per day to have access to the most sophisticated data crunching and statistically viable stock picking analyst that has no emotions. I mean, you can't get there anywhere else. So, you know, if the subscription price is a barrier, we don't want to push you into it. This has to feel right for you because we know the value. And again, you know, we've been in business since 2003. One of our other partners has a great line that he says, how many companies have 13 years of testimonials? Okay, so Eric, I mean, let's be honest. You can't just expect something for nothing. You have to put some effort into learning how the technology works and figuring out how to interact with it. But we help you do that. We encourage you because we want you to succeed with it. I mean, I don't want to tell you that you can, you know, put no effort into it and get something out of it. Nothing on earth is like that. Okay, so IC asked a good question, which is, how does the Brokerage Plus work with the AI? So the AI, you will see signals, and you will still manually have to put them into the software. I mean, into IB to trade, because we don't want the thing to robotically just get you into everything unless you really want to. So it's like you are the authentication system. David, we do all of that. In fact, Ross is a big partner of ours. As you know, Ross uses our technology. We have the most transparent system. Everything that you see is available for researching. And the thing is this. We wouldn't be able to grow the way we're growing, and we wouldn't be the fastest growing fintech subscription as a service company in the US if we didn't back it up with results. We do not work with SureTrader, although we link with them, but we're just not, Brad, we link, but we're not affiliated in any way, shape, or form.
Correct. Yeah, I was just referring to linking.
So there's a question, do we have any model accounts with real trades from someone following Holly? Well, that's the thing. Holly just started last year, and since we don't actually, since we're not a brokerage, we can't see our customers' data. So we don't have that information, but I will tell you what, since our subscription growth is almost exponential, and we've been exponentially growing for a year, it would be really, really difficult for us to do that and have the technology not work. Remember, our clients are watching and they're seeing these trades. They're seeing this happen in real time. And also our trading room where Barry moderates, it continuously reinforces the best practices, so you don't have to learn it once and then hope you remember. There's constant educational reinforcement through the community. In other words, you're not being taught in a classroom, you're being taught in the field, which is where you need to learn. Okay, Scott, do you want to just, I think this is good enough because we've already ran past our time. Do you want to do a quick finish up?
Yeah, sure. Very engaged questions panel today. Yeah, so there is a code, and that's good for February to give 15% off of your first month or first year of TradeIdeas. So you could take 15% right off the top of either premium or standard. And we've already covered pretty much what the major differences are. TI Premium includes access to AI, Holly, as well as unlimited backtesting using our OddsMaker event-based backtesting module, and other really nice premium features we've added recently that include the shareable price alerts and RBI GBI windows. So when you go ahead and decide to become a subscriber, also remember that either standard or premium includes a full hour of one-on-one training. As soon as you become a subscriber, just go to the support section, click on training, and pick the best time and date that works for you that's available. And thanks, everyone. I'm sure everyone has more questions. Just go ahead and email us info@trade-ideas.com with anything that you want to know. You can also download a handout with some information from the slides you've seen. Go to the handouts panel of your GoToWebinar interface, click on the plus to expand it, and download that blue link. It's a PDF. You can follow Dan Merkin on Twitter at TradeIdeas1. You can also follow us at TradeIdeas on Facebook. We are facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro. And again, email any of your questions to info@trade-ideas.com. And we'll send out the recording of this webinar later tonight. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Brad. Thanks to all the audience participants.
Good night.
Good one.